Hello everyone and welcome back to Eve Market, your weekly look at the amarr market. So I'm still trying to recover a little bit from last night. I had a party from the company, so we went out. I had a great fun, lot of beer. So yeah, you can guess the rest of it. We went to the Schijndel. Sounds called in Dutch. The thing that we went to calls it a tunneke. They did like something that someone was getting 65 there. Like weird people doing stuff, and that was great fun. So yeah, that's that's what happened a little bit last night. But we're here for the market, of course. We're gonna look at the market price. You can see titanium price. We're gonna look at this at the graph first. I hadn't had. I don't even know how much sleep I got because I got home and turned the TV on. I went lay on the couch and suddenly I wake up on the couch and decide to went to bed. So I don't know how many hours I slept there. So not too many so far I know because I started waking up around 8 or something already. Well, I was home at like 3 o'clock in the night at home or something. I didn't even went to sleep straight away. So yeah. But titanium, that's what are here for. I can see it's still slightly going down on price. 5 a day and 20 apps both still dropping. Uh, Sales amounts are here and there definitely a bit higher, so we seem to be selling a little bit more titanium on the market, which is pushing the price definitely down here towards a lower price, and that's basically what it's doing here. So titanium is starting to drop in price. Seller's price 5.81, and I must say that pretty decent supply on titanium here on the market. And for the buys, not too many buys anymore, but still decent size orders up for 5.29. That's a lower price than last week's, because last week's 5.46 was last week's price, so definitely it's starting to drop in price here for that. Then we have ferrite. Ferrite definitely made a drop. I know the shutdown. Yeah, in an hour. Yeah, I was not sure anymore. In an hour, it's gonna be shut down. But definitely ferrite has been dropping rapidly this week. Seems to be getting at its lowest point at the moment here. Was it starting to go up for the last 2 days? Except for today, it seems to be dropping again a bit. But it's definitely had some movement here on a very low price, hitting even a 9.5 almost on the average price per day. But it's interesting what it's gonna do. It's gonna be doing next week because it went up for a moment. Today we're sitting lower, but sales amount are about 1/3 on its way, I guess, from the normal amount. So it can go both ways. But really gonna be interesting next week which way this is gonna go. If it's gonna can go more up in price, but it also can go down because we're sitting lower today. 9.95 for the sellers and 9.37 for the buyers. That is slightly higher than last week. 9.27 was last week's price, so it went slightly up on that. Then Maxilon. Maxilon is staying pretty much in the same range. Around the 70 is per unit. It can go a bit higher up to 73. It looks like 73.5. A bit low to about almost 68. But it seems to be pretty much staying this whole week in that price range. It's going a bit up and down on the average price, is high, is lower. It doesn't know really where to go. Sales amount are here and there slightly higher. Some days it's pretty normal. So it can go both ways here, I say, for Maxilon. I don't know which one is that gonna do next week. 73.45 for the sellers and 67.12 for the buyers. That is one that's put a sit up the order pretty high up. This is making the price higher than last week's. If this one was not here and we had this one, then we had a lower price than last week. But last week's price was 66.37. That was last week's price. So this guy really bet he wants his max on it. It's only 1 million units. He shouldn't be bothered to put a price up that high for it. But it's his risk. So yeah, let's go on for hydrogen. Let's see what hydrogen is doing. Hydrogen is definitely starting to drop pretty clearly here. It's been dropping for the whole week. Going down 5 and 20 days even also following. So I expect this one also on the next week to start dropping in price. Yeah, it came up from some higher price and start dropping. You can clearly see, let's go to 6 months. We are getting really low. This is pretty much the lowest that we got with hydrogen. That maybe was the record price a few weeks ago. But we are, looks like we're gonna head for a new record price maybe for hydrogen. Because it is really dropping and it's heading towards a new record. The record bottom price was 80.11 for hydrogen. So that looks like we're gonna head for it. For the seller's price, 89.94. For the buyer's price, 80.28. We are definitely heading for that. We are just not reaching it. Last week's price was 85.03. So hydrogen is dropping pretty quickly. And we're getting really close to the record bottom price of this. If we're gonna reach that, we need this 1, 2, 3, 4 top ones need to get fulfilled. Then this one will be a record bottom price. I don't know if you're gonna see that on the next weekend, but we'll see how that's gonna go. Then Noxium. Noxium is pretty still ahead us a few days, a little bit an uptrend in price, heading toward the 460. But most of the time it's been staying below the 440, around the 430 it looks like it. Also for today slightly higher. It has nowadays ups, but it's sitting pretty much staying around the 420 and the 460 between that range. So that means it's pretty stable on the prices. Of course you can take the risk on setting it always a little bit lower and getting it lower in, or you don't get anything in. But that's what you can try here. For now it's staying pretty stable in the same line. You can see the 20-day average is moving only very little bit around 5 days. Of course more aggressive movements because I'm very more sensitive for that. So it's staying pretty much around the same price. Seller's price 460 per unit. That's a pretty low one. It's not too many units either. And for the buyers 419.58. It's only slightly higher than last week's price. Last week's price 418.25, now 419.58. So only slightly higher. It hasn't moved really a lot, so it's pretty stable. Now let's look what Zynoid is gonna do. Someone bought it for a weird high price, but for now Zynoid it looks like starting to stabilize. And not really easy to see because of this high buy price from someone. Pretty big spike on sales on Zynoid yesterday. On the Saturday, also here was one, but that's more about a week ago. But it looks very stable. Maybe looks like the line's going slightly up. It's really not good to see now at the moment. So we're just gonna look at the prices. For the sellers, there are pretty big size orders up here. For that, someone has been putting in buy orders up in the wrong station. 1344.94 for the sellers. Wrong stations, not gonna look at those. 1000. It is system wide, so if you still sell it here, you reach it in here. For the sellers, 1206.07. That hasn't been going down on price because 1240.16 was last week's price. So on the buyers, the price is dropping for Zynoid. And that's so we did hit a pretty high price on Zynoid because we were going up for a while. So it seems to be definitely starting to drop in price for Zynoid. Megasite has definitely makes beginning of this month it's jumped up and came pretty stable like last week. Out for this week, it's jumping around pretty rapidly between 1550 and 1400, even slightly below it. Now it's going, it's jumping between those two prices, between 1550 and the 1400, so it can be sitting anywhere in that range. Seems to be staying this whole week pretty much in that range, so not really a huge amount of movement in the mega site price and staying pretty stable. You can see there's someone that managed to buy it in pretty low for about just above 1,000. Really good job for that. Then we're just gonna look at the prices. Seller's price 1,555.98 for the sellers. For the buyers, we're sitting at 1,395.78. That went up in price compared to last week. Last week's price was 1,340.32. So we definitely see an increase in the megasite price. So megasite is now definitely staying higher than Signet. We had a small period where they were sitting really close together, even points that Signet was slightly higher than megasite. But clearly that has gone away. The difference, megasite is still going up, Signet is going down in price. So we can see a pretty much of a normal prices between those two. Then Morphite is definitely starting to make its nosedive down after this really high price about a month ago for 20,000 per unit. You can clearly see now this week it's making its drop again towards the 13,000 per unit, but it seems to be starting to stop the drop. It went pretty low and then suddenly here we see an uptrend in price, and also for today it's higher than these two. So we may see starting to get another shortage, maybe a smaller shortage at the moment here on the market for Morphite. Or we're gonna see another big shortage, another big spike, but I don't expect we're gonna reach another 20,000 again per unit. I don't expect that one. We can clearly see that it has been starting to go up again on price. For the sellers, 14,423.5. For the buyers, 13,181.31. That did went up again in price. It was also definitely to see here in the graph that we're starting to go up, and we do seem definitely starting to go up in price too. Last week's price was 13,013.02. So we're definitely seeing an increase in price for that. Then I'm gonna take a quick look at some salvage. How the salvage doing? Armor plates seems to be starting to make another drop again here in price this whole week, sitting around to 68,000 per unit. Big sales here yesterday for armor plates, pushing the price up, by the way. So someone has been buying it from the market then, in this case. We can see for 1-2 days, yesterday big sales, it's already starting to go up on the Friday, then Sunday, the Saturday went up high because of the huge amount of sales, like double an amount at least. But you can clearly see here on the Sunday that it just didn't work out, and the price dropped straight away back down again towards the 68,000. It's slightly higher than all these days here, but still it's straight away goes again towards a normal price. For the sellers, we're gonna look for more than 500 units. We need to drop a little bit. 72,250 for the sellers on that. For the buyers, 68,500 for that. Slightly higher than last week's 68,000 flat was last week's price, so we went 500 up in that. I don't think it's gonna be a lot more up. The two big size orders up, maybe even the same person. So you can try to stay on top. Then burn logic circuits are still going up in price. We thought here for a moment that we started to make a drop in price, starting to stabilize a little bit even in the beginning of this week. So I think we're gonna see a drop in price. We're not, because it is already starting to go back up again, heading towards the 58,000. We haven't hit that yet, but we're probably gonna see that maybe maybe next week we're gonna pass the 58,000 for the burn logic circuits. This thing just keeps on going up. Look at this. Look at the 6 month. It made a huge drop here. We're now gonna still going up in price, so we may gonna head towards another 70,000 per unit for this. But it's not going up too quickly as it done before. So maybe it's just a slight increase in price for this. Also expecting this one to go up next week. More than 500 units for the seller's price. That's about 65,000 per unit. For the sellers, for the buyers, we're sitting at 75,100 per unit. That is a higher price than last week's. 55,102 was last week's price. I rounded the price quickly up. So definitely we see an increase here in price. Friday interface circuits. No. Alright, we're done. Nothing to report. Stable. Really stable. Just a flat line. We see a slight increase here on the Friday. The Saturday just came straight back again on the normal price. There's no changes here. It's been like almost for 1.5 week now. Sitting on the same price. No movement here at all. On that. Sellers. Let's see, more than 500 units. 4,200 for the sellers then. For the buyers, we're sitting at 2,752 to 26. Slightly higher than last week's price, because that was 2,751. It's one is higher. I'm not gonna bother to put this cents behind it. And this is only 10,000 units, and this is like a whole load of it. So that's why the price is so freaking stable. Unless there's gonna be more buyers coming in, the price will slightly go up. But I don't expect that one. Melted capacitor consoles, also really stable. We see here and there a spike. We see also pretty much spikes here in this week for 10,500. Are you really kidding me? You buy one for that price? Here there was a day at least 10,500 per unit on the highest. The rest of the days pretty normal prices. Still quantities being sold been pretty good. But on average, what can we say here? It's staying around the 7,500. That's where it's staying. It's staying slightly lower, 7,400. Looks like it's been sitting on. Really stable also on this one. Not too many sellers on the market. So I can say go more than 500 units. Everything together is not even 500 units. So 7,900. I stay with the top one. For the sellers. For the buyers, 7,500. It's slightly higher than last week's price. That was 7,402. So there's a slight increase on that. It's just a new buyer popped up for it. Trip power circuits. Ooh. Okay. Trip power circuits suddenly make somewhere in the middle of the week. It made suddenly a huge drop down in price. We're sitting above the 17,500 per unit. And suddenly, the day after that already dropped to 70,000. So that's already like, if you look at this, that's about a 600 drop. Then the next day, we're suddenly dropping to 15,600. That's like a 2,000 drop suddenly. But after that, we're starting to go up again in price already. And it went to 16,000, 16.5. No, that's 16,250, 16.5. So it's already going back towards a higher price. So I think it's gonna head back towards the 7,500 per unit on the upcoming week. But that's not really sure, because it can go either way. Plus the price of this is not really that high. I thought it was a high price. It came already down from a pretty high price of 30,000, so it's already pretty low on prices for that. But we see a big drop. I think it just gonna start going up pretty soon in price, because it is so low at the moment. 18,555 for the sellers. For the buyers, 16,500 per unit. That's an 1,100 drop compared to last week's. 17,601 was last week's price. Oops, typo. So also that has been dropping. We're getting, I know it went slightly up. We're not getting towards the record bottom price, looks like. We have no records at all this week, unless we have a new Plex record, but I don't expect that one. Plex is just going up in price. We're heading towards 900 million. I'm not sure if we're gonna reach that. At least we're a few days above the 890 million. The Friday we're sitting just below the 890. Saturday, yesterday, 880 million. For now, we're heading back towards the normal price of the Friday. We make a land higher or lower. It does looks like CSP really wants to keep the Plex below the 900 million, because you pretty much see regular Plex sales, and then you see drops and ups in the Plex prices. Because it came from here, and then we had a pretty long time. So far I know we had a Plex sales. And one other thing was skill trading, skill injectors. That was right here. We had made a huge Plex dump. You see also the Plex sales still staying higher. It looks like Plex sales starting to slightly drop and heading back to the old one, but it's really minimal. You see it made this huge drop with the skill injectors, then it's starting to go up and down a bit when Citadels also came out. People start selling Plexes too, but yeah, overall Plex seems to be staying around the 850, 900 million. We still see regular Plex sales, so it looks also CCP wants to keep it lower. Then the prices for the Plex for the sellers 935 million for the sellers. For the buyers at 872.5 million. For the buyers, that is a higher price than last week's. Last week's price was 854 million and 58,000 for a Plex. So we went slightly up on that. So Plex definitely starting to go up again a bit. Maybe also going up for the upcoming week, or maybe at the end of the week we see another Plex sale and the price will start dropping again. That's a possibility, of course. So this was this week's look at the amarr market. Hope you liked the video. I hope to guys see you all next week again. So thanks for watching and fly safe.